And now the descendants of Jacob, numbering 70 in total, found their way to Egypt where Joseph had already established himself. Years later, the generation of Joseph and his brothers passed away. Yet, the Israelites prospered, their numbers rapidly increasing. Eventually, a new pharaoh came to power in Egypt, a ruler who didn't appreciate Joseph's legacy. Observing the Israelites' growth, this pharaoh feared their rising power. His resolution: impose forced labor upon them. The lives of the Israelites were filled with strenuous tasks in brick and mortar, and in the fields. This labor, however, seemed to fuel their growth even more. The more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread, causing the Egyptians to dread them. The king of Egypt ordered the Hebrew midwives to kill newborn Hebrew boys out of fear. Shiphrah and Puah, the midwives, disobeyed the king and helped the boys live, fearing God more. One mother sent her newborn son adrift on the river in a basket made of papyrus. By good fortune, the child was found by Pharaoh's daughter, who nurtured him and gave him the name Moses. Moses, a Hebrew by birth but raised as an Egyptian, was destined to be a liberator. After slaying an oppressive Egyptian taskmaster, he escaped to Midian, turning into a shepherd. There, in a flaming bush, God revealed himself, instructing Moses to return to Egypt and free his people. Moses, filled with doubt but armed with divine powers and supported by his brother Aaron, took on the daunting task of confronting the Pharaoh. Despite his doubts, Moses, equipped with miracles and accompanied by his brother Aaron, confronted the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh's refusal to release the Israelites led to God sending 10 plagues upon Egypt. God turns the Nile River into blood, causes frogs to cover Egypt, turns all of the dust in Egypt to gnats, and causes swarms of flies to come into the houses of Pharaoh and his officials. God then strikes Egypt's livestock with a disease, creates festering boils on humans and animals, and sends thunder, hail, and fire that destroy crops, livestock, and people. God sends swarms of locusts, and covers Egypt with a darkness that can be felt. Before each plague, Moses demands the Israelites' release, and after each plague, God purposefully hardens Pharaoh so that he refuses the request. The horrible very last plague resulted in the death of every Egyptian firstborn. The Israelites, however, as a protection, marked their homes with lamb's blood. This catastrophic event forced the Pharaoh to set the Israelites free. But not for too long. Leaving Egypt and pursued by Pharaoh to the Red Sea, Moses, with divine intervention and power, split the sea open, allowing the Israelites to escape and drowning their pursuers. Now, in the harsh wilderness, they faced shortages of food and water. Yet, God supplied manna and quail for sustenance daily. With divine assistance, they overcame the Amalekites and reached Mount Sinai. Here, Moses received the 10 Commandments from God, as well as many laws which touched every aspect of the lives of the Israelites, from their practices of worship to their standards of justice, down to the details of personal conduct. In Moses' absence, however, the people became restless and impatient. Unable to wait for his return, they decided to craft a golden calf, an icon of false divinity, to kneel before and worship. Upon this act of grave idolatry, Moses was filled with a deep and fierce anger. This anger caused him to reactively shatter the stone tablets upon which the commandments were inscribed, symbolizing the breaking the covenant between God and the Israelites. God, in his righteous wrath, sought to punish the Israelites for their betrayal. But Moses interceded, urging God to show mercy. God reaffirms his covenant with Moses, and declares himself to be a compassionate, loving, and patient God. At Moses' direction, the Israelites renew their commitment to the covenant by erecting a tabernacle to God according to the exact specifications God has outlined.